Energy crackles and coalesces into a distinct shape. A female figure appears, curled up as if newly born into this strange reality. Her eyes fly open with a sudden gasp. She stands silently under the night sky, a solitary figure in an unfamiliar place. Lost in thought, she questions who she is. A tall, shadowy figure in a wide-brimmed hat blocks a lonely road. Another strange entity with tentacle-like hair floats above a pile of rubble. The scaly tail of a monstrous creature lies near an unconscious person. This is the beginning of the terror. A question hangs in the air, asking if anyone has heard about the terrors. While his classmates buzz about the scary sightings, Sei quietly packs his bag, trying to ignore them. He overhears the various descriptions of the apparitions, finding the half-snake woman particularly interesting, though his face remains stoic. A group of friends excitedly ask Sei to come along on their search for terrors, but he seems entirely unenthusiastic. Sei bluntly tells his friends not to invite him to such pointless activities. He thinks about how ridiculous the recent trend is, declaring his hatred for the occult. Arriving home, Sei internally dismisses any suggestion that he's afraid, stating that the reason he hates the occult is something else entirely. His sister cheerfully greets him, mentioning that their home security, a strange humanoid figure, is working perfectly. She excitedly shows off her new balloon doll of a dog-headed person, which even makes a sound when pushed. When Sei asks how much it cost, his sister casually admits she spent 50,000 yen, all of their money, for monthly expenses. Sei is angry that she is messing with her occult collection, but she points out that the doll is not even occult. He yells at her for throwing away the money he slaved away at a part-time job to earn. She retorts that the occult should be prioritized over their living expenses, telling him to starve if he disagrees. She confidently states that she has a way to make back all the money she spent, and it involves the terrors. Her plan is to capture images of the trending occult topic, the terrors. She brandishes a vintage-looking spirit camera, declaring her intent to take pictures, publish them, and make a living off her passion. Sei calmly asks how much the camera cost, to which she replies it was 50,000 yen. Losing his temper, Sei snatches the camera and tells his sister not to return until she has a photo. He complains about having to worry about living expenses at his age. Alone on a set of stairs, he sadly thinks of his dad, wishing he could contact him. He remembers how his occult-loving father disappeared and his mother left, leaving him alone. The obsession with the occult is what split his family apart, and he curses both his dad and his sister for their beliefs. He laments that they should have focused on what was truly important. He calls out to his absent father and sister, asking if he's right. His sister simply looks at him and says one word, terror. Sei screams in frustration, declaring that supernatural crap like that can't possibly exist. Sei yells as a massive stone-like object flies past him. He watches, dumbfounded, as the mysterious masked woman soars into the sky. The figure disappears into the distance. Sei is left speechless. He questions what he just saw, thinking about her slit mouth and denying its existence. The name of the urban legend comes to his mind, Kuchi-sake-onna. He recalls the legend of the mysterious woman who asks if she's pretty and attacks those who say no. He tries to convince himself that it's just an old story and that she can't possibly be real. He vehemently denies the possibility of her existence. Frustrated, he runs after her. He loses track of her in the city. He spots her again, wondering what she could possibly be doing in a store. She emerges from the store, looking content with her shopping. The idea of the Kuchi-sake-onna shopping leaves Sei utterly flabbergasted. He ducks out of sight as she turns. He watches in confusion as she heads into a beauty parlor. Peeking from his hiding spot, Sei imagines her preparing to arm herself with scissors. She emerges with a completely new look, her hair lighter and styled. He can't believe she just got a makeover, enhancing her charm. He suddenly realizes how ridiculous his actions have been. He calls himself stupid for chasing her. Deciding there's no way the Kuchi-sake-onna could exist, he resolves to go home. He looks back, but the street is empty. She has disappeared. Just then, a voice calls out to him. The woman confronts him, asking if he was following her. Her direct gaze unnerves him. She bluntly asks if he is trying to hit on her, leaving Sei completely stunned. Sei finds himself in a cafe with the mysterious girl, bewildered by the turn of events. He glances at her while taking a sip of his drink. He observes her youthful appearance and questions his earlier assumption that she is the Kuchi-sake-onna. His eyes widen as she reaches for her mask. She smiles at him, her face completely unmarked. Sei is taken aback by her question. She asks for his name, and he reluctantly introduces himself as Tuno Sei. She teases him, asking if he was smitten at first sight. Seeing his hesitation, she asks if he doesn't find her cute. He thinks of the horrific image of the real Kuchi-sake-onna and concludes he was completely wrong about her. Sei tells her he thinks she's pretty cute. His compliments make her blush. Their hamburger steaks arrive, sizzling on the plate. He asks why she's grinning, and she excitedly says the food looks delicious. He watches her, relieved, thinking that her simple happiness proves she's just a normal girl. She opens her mouth to take a bite, revealing a horrifying, jagged smile that splits her face. Sei's mind shatters as he realizes his mistake. She is not a normal girl at all. He falls out of his chair in pure terror. She covers her mouth, looking horrified that she revealed herself. Stammering in fear, he points at her, confirming that she really is what he feared. She looks down in shame and admits that it's true. She reveals her true, terrifying form, confirming she is the Kuchi-sake-onna. Sei stares in disbelief, questioning how she could have appeared so normal just a second ago. Sei recoils as tears stream down her face. He demands to know why she is crying. She sobs that after what happened, he surely won't want to continue their date. Sei is completely bewildered by her reaction. He stammers that dating the Kuchi-sake-onna is, understandably, a little difficult. She explains that she can't help it when she gets worked up. Sei wonders aloud if it's possible for her to control her transformation by not getting worked up. She confesses that she couldn't help it because she was so happy. She tearfully admits it was her first time ever being hit on and sharing a meal with a boy. She apologizes for deceiving him, believing he wouldn't want to date a monster like her. Sei lets out a massive, exasperated sigh. He confirms to the surprised Kuchi-sake-onna that he won't be leaving. She reminds him again that she is the Kuchi-sake-onna. He calmly states that he hates the occult. He explains that his family split up because of it. He concludes that her being part of the occult doesn't mean she's to blame. He tells her to stop dawdling and eat her hamburger. She cries tears of joy and agrees enthusiastically. A mysterious hooded figure appears, calling out the Kuchi-sake-onna's name. Sei asks who the person is. The Kuchi-sake-onna stares at the approaching figure with a worried expression. The figure violently grabs Kuchi-sake-onna by the hair. Sei shouts at the aggressor, demanding they stop. The figure threatens Sei, asking if he wants to die. Sei tells them to save their business for later, as she is currently on a date with him. The figure laughs mockingly, questioning the idea of a date with her. The figure seems to realize she is telling the truth. Kuchi-sake-onna clutches Sei's arm. She explains to the figure that Sei hit on her and accepted her, even knowing her true identity. The figure coldly tells her that no one could ever like a monster. They suggest Sei is only interested in her for superficial reasons. They tell her to know her place as a monster. Sei slams his hand on the table, fed up. He tells the figure to cut it out. He asks them if she really looks like a monster. He passionately declares that he only sees a cute girl. The figure tells Kuchi-sake-onna that it's time to go. The figure starts to leave, prompting Sei to call out to them. Kuchi-sake-onna thanks Sei but says their date has to end here. Sei is left speechless by her sudden decision. She explains that everyone has always been afraid of her because she is the Kuchi-sake-onna. That's why she put on pretty clothes and did her hair, hoping someone might come to like her. But ultimately, she feels it was pointless. She apologizes with a pained smile for making him hang out with a monster. She bids him a final, tearful goodbye. Sei watches her, his expression intense. He stands alone as she walks away. He grits his teeth in determination. He bolts from his seat, shouting for her to wait. He yells at her, asking if she didn't hear him. He repeats his assertion that she is a cute, normal girl. He yells her name to get her attention. She turns around, her face a mask of tearful surprise and confusion. Sei's sister excitedly takes photos, while the hooded figure tells her to stop. Kuchi-sake-onna asks Sei if he really came after her, while his sister continues her photo shoot. His sister points out that she discovered the Kuchi-sake-onna, leaving Sei to wonder what is happening. His sister points at Kuchi-sake-onna and cruelly calls her ugly. Sei is shocked by the comment. The hooded figure asks what she just said, while Sei yells at his sister that her personality is the ugly thing. The hooded figure screams for them to run. Kuchi-sake-onna's expression darkens with rage. With a terrifying visage, Kuchi-sake-onna menacingly echoes the word ugly. Sei and his sister are shocked. In that moment, Sei realized his mistake. His belief that she was just a normal girl was shattered. The now monstrous Kuchi-sake-onna charges at them with her weapon. As she attacks, the full weight of his misjudgment hits him. His perception was very, very wrong. A massive impact sends debris and people flying as the ground erupts. The wall of a nearby building crumbles from the force. This is a review of the facts, a monster that attacks with a cleaver when insulted. This is the true existence known as the Kuchi-sake-onna. This is what you call terror. A 15-year-old named Tuno Sei introduces himself, stating his hatred for occult beings like phantoms and monsters. He recalls that he is in the middle of plunging into a river after getting involved with the Kuchi-sake-onna. As he falls, he questions what the Kuchi-sake-onna's intentions are. She smiles serenely, her motives unclear. The impact shatters the bridge railing as they hit the water below. Sei surfaces, gasping for air. He realizes he's been swept far downstream and calls out for his sister. He spots her floating limply in the current. To his surprise, a large, muscular man emerges from the water, carrying his sister to safety. The man holding Sei's sister tells the woman with him that she can save herself now. Sei asks if the man is human. Sei's eyes widen in horror as he realizes the man is a monster. The hooded figure spits out water, complaining about the taste. The girl berates the monster, calling him a monkey for not saving his master, while Sei tells him to stay back. She pulls down her hood, revealing she is a girl, and threatens to put him on a strict diet. Sei is stunned to realize the hooded figure is a girl. Sei realizes the man is the same type of creature as Kuchi-sake-onna and wonders if they are working together. The monster struggles to hold the unconscious woman. Sei angrily demands to know what the monster plans to do with his sister. The monster holding Sei's sister comments on her figure. He asks his companion if it would be okay to indulge a little, since she's knocked out. She calls him a bad boy and puts her foot on his shoulder to stop him. She berates him for being a perverted monkey and bringing shame to her, reminding him that she's always telling him not to get aroused by every little thing. The monster meekly protests that just a little would be fine. Sei, watching from the side, can only wonder what is wrong with the two of them as the girl continues her painful reprimand. The girl confronts Sei, asking why he tried to save them from Kuchi-sake-onna and threateningly asks if he wants to die. Her companion echoes the threat. She states that they are going after Kuchi-sake-onna, who can't have gone far, and her companion agrees. The girl leaps onto her companion's back, ordering him to kill Kuchi-sake-onna as soon as they find her. They rocket into the air, leaving Sei watching in disbelief. He realizes that the Kuchi-sake-onna is far more dangerous than he imagined, and getting more involved could be fatal. Sei yells at his unconscious sister to stay put. He tells himself that a monster like that should just be left alone. However, he recalls her innocent expression, which makes him hesitate. The two hunters confront Kuchi-sake-onna in a container yard. The hunters stare her down with grim determination. She asks what they want and begs them to stop, insisting that while she may be a monster, she hasn't done anything wrong. The girl states that she cannot let a dangerous person like Kuchi-sake-onna run free and that she will protect her town. She declares that she will make Kuchi-sake-onna die right here. Kuchi-sake-onna insists that she has a reason that she cannot die yet. Kuchi-sake-onna declares that she has an important boyfriend named Sei. She thinks about how Sei followed her even after learning she was a monster and that she must respond to his feelings. Filled with new resolve, she calls out Sei's name and runs to find him. Hisaruki asks Kureha how long she's going to stand there speechless. He impatiently asks if it's his turn, stating he's not there to run her petty errands. Kureha acknowledges him and says he can take care of the rest. She orders him to go, calling him by his name, Hisaruki. Hisaruki leaps forward, preparing to strike. He smashes the ground, sending debris flying as Kuchi-sake-onna screams in terror. Hisaruki pins Kuchi-sake-onna against a container and declares his intention to eat her. Kureha coldly gives her permission for him to eat her. Kuchi-sake-onna pleads that she can't die because she hasn't seen Sei yet. Hisaruki states that he prefers human women, but doesn't care about a monster like her. He grabs her head, promising to at least crush it quickly. As her end seems near, Kuchi-sake-onna thinks of Sei. Sei suddenly appears, pulling Kuchi-sake-onna away from Hisaruki's grasp. She cries out his name in relief and surprise. Hisaruki recognizes Sei as the human male from before. Hisaruki furiously demands to know what they are doing. As they run, Kuchi-sake-onna expresses her worry, but Sei tells her it's okay. Sei confidently states that he has figured out the monster's weaknesses. He explains that they can just let the monster continue to screw himself over. Hisaruki stands amidst the destruction he caused. He mutters that he crushed so much stuff he can't find them, while Sei internally notes that the monster has the IQ of a monkey. Kuchi-sake-onna calls him a genius, but he brushes it off. Sei tells her to hurry up and leave, as he came all this way to save her. She expresses her immense happiness. Sei admits he can hardly believe he feels this way toward her. He silently acknowledges this feeling as love. Kuchi-sake-onna expresses how much she feels his sympathy for her. Sei clarifies that he said sympathy, much to her confusion. She asks what he is saying, wondering why he came to save her if they weren't lovers. He retorts, asking when they became lovers and explaining he just didn't think she should be killed. Sei shouts that he hates the occult and wishes he wasn't involved in this at all. Kuchi-sake-onna is stunned into silence by his harsh words. Sei tells her to hurry and run while he takes care of things. Her expression darkens as she asks if he had fun tricking her. She recalls him inviting her on a date and calling her cute. Sei gets a very bad feeling about the situation. Her eyes burn with rage as she glares at him. Her power explodes, sending the heavy shipping containers flying like toys. She brands him an enemy of women. She begins her rampage, chasing after a screaming Sei. He yells in confusion, wondering why she is on a rampage when he didn't say anything about her looks. Hisaruki blocks Kuchi-sake-onna's attack, saving Sei. Sei is shocked that the monster came to save him. Kureha suddenly appears and kicks Sei in the face. Kureha yells at Sei, calling him a big idiot. She screams that he doesn't know a thing about women's hearts. Kureha lays out a chart explaining how Kuchi-sake-onna completely misinterpreted Sei's words, leading her to believe she was dumped because of her looks, which is the trigger for her rampages. Kureha tells a worried Sei that there's no stopping Kuchi-sake-onna once she gets like this. Kuchi-sake-onna continues her rampage, declaring everyone will be sliced into pieces. Sei asks if she will calm down like last time, but Kureha grimly states that this is on another level. Kureha tells Sei there is just one way to stop the rampage. She explains that for it to work, they will need his help. Sei agrees, demanding to know what he needs to do. The three of them prepare to face the rampaging Kuchi-sake-onna. Sei is completely bewildered by the plan. Kureha, holding Sei upside down by his ankle, explains that he has to make Kuchi-sake-onna understand that she hasn't been dumped. Hisaruki yells that they are out of time and prepares to throw Sei. He launches Sei through the air towards the oncoming Kuchi-sake-onna. Sei kisses Kuchi-sake-onna. Hisaruki and Kureha cheer, exclaiming that they did it. Sei is in shock, realizing that his fantasized first kiss was with the Kuchi-sake-onna. In the aftermath of the kiss, Sei sees a vision of a beautiful girl with dark hair. Snapping back to reality, Sei wonders what that fleeting vision was. Kuchi-sake-onna, blushing, points out that he just kissed her. Sei stammers, trying to say that the kiss didn't mean anything. Kuchi-sake-onna smiles shyly, still blushing from the kiss. Sei, flustered, decides to just accept the situation. He looks at the destruction and asks Kureha what the point of all this was. He asks if this was what she wanted from her genius plan, and she simply replies, "Who knows?" Sei calls out to Kuchi-sake-onna, who stands beside him. Kureha apologizes, admitting her mistake. Sei senses that this is going to be trouble. She gravely informs him that he has been possessed by Kuchi-sake-onna. Kureha explains that by his actions, Sei has become Kuchi-sake-onna's teller. Sei stares in shock and confusion. Sei questions if he has truly become a terror. He had thought terror only referred to beings like Kuchi-sake-onna and the monster standing with Kureha. Kureha corrects him, stating that such ideas are just baseless rumors from the internet. She explains that terror refers to the pairing of a monster and a human, such as herself and Hisaruki. Hisaruki is identified as the monster terror. Kureha identifies herself as the human teller. She concludes that the term terror refers to this kind of pair. Sei struggles to comprehend that he and Kuchi-sake-onna are now a terror. Kureha confirms this is the case, just as she is paired with Hisaruki. She mentions, however, that there is one issue. She has never seen such a powerful terror before, recognizing the incredible power hidden within Kuchi-sake-onna. She observes that this power is even greater than what Hisaruki possesses. Hisaruki tries to get Kureha's attention. He questions if she is losing her nerve, arguing they can kill Kuchi-sake-onna now since she has only just acquired her power. He declares that he won't lose to a punk like her, reminding Kureha that she isn't the only one possessing a human. Kureha sternly tells Hisaruki to stop, warning him that their opponent is no longer the same snot-nosed punk from before. Hisaruki dismisses her concern, muttering that once a punk, always a punk. Hisaruki charges towards Sei and Kuchi-sake-onna, determined to beat them. Sei and Kuchi-sake-onna look on in shock as he rushes them. To defend them, Kuchi-sake-onna unleashes a powerful slash of dark energy. Kuchi-sake-onna confronts the charging Hisaruki, ready for battle. Hisaruki recovers from the deflected attack. Kuchi-sake-onna asks if he is still trying to interfere between her and Sei. She warns that if he keeps it up, she will get angry. Hisaruki decides to leave, telling Kureha it's time to go home, but Sei yells for them to hold on. Sei stands alone, demanding to know what he is supposed to do in this situation where he has been possessed and turned into a teller. He yells in frustration, having spent his life trying to avoid these very things. Kureha begins to explain why this happened to him. She points out that he kissed Kuchi-sake-onna, making her think he was the one, and now Sei furiously realizes it is his fault. Kureha explains that Kuchi-sake-onna knows nothing and equates the feeling of love with the act of possession. She warns Sei not to betray Kuchi-sake-onna's feelings. She gives him a grave warning that the next time that thing snaps, it will be the time he dies. As they depart, Kureha tells Sei to live his life together with her and be nice to her, as they are bound until death. Sei is left behind, screaming that he doesn't want to be in this situation. As they retreat, Hisaruki identifies the new terror as bad news. Kureha kicks Hisaruki, who asks why, and she tells him to shut up. She angrily expresses her frustration that they couldn't finish their opponent off. Hisaruki notes that Kuchi-sake-onna seemed to have forgotten the rules, and Kureha agrees it's better to let her be for now, as they'd be in trouble if she got stronger. A mysterious figure observes from above that terrors are destined to kill one another. A girl watches in horror as Kuchi-sake-onna prepares food. Kuchi-sake-onna chops vegetables with terrifying speed and precision. She cheerfully announces that she has made dinner, while Sei's sister feels bad for letting her cook. The meal consists of various shredded and sliced dishes. Kuchi-sake-onna sheepishly admits that for some reason, she ended up shredding every bit of food. Sei silently wonders if bringing her home was the right thing to do, feeling he had to because she seemed ready to snap otherwise. Sei's sister mentions she feels like she's forgetting something that happened with her. Panicking, Sei suddenly pushes Kuchi-sake-onna towards the bathroom, insisting she must take a bath after such a busy day. Sei warns his sister to be careful not to make Kuchi-sake-onna mad, but she reassures him that she knows. His sister is ecstatic, exclaiming that it's a dream to live with Kuchi-sake-onna and that she's glad to be an occult otaku. Sei questions whether she's a true otaku or just in it for the money, as she muses about the potential profits. His sister asks if Kuchi-sake-onna is staying the night, and Sei confirms it, though not because he wants her to. She declares this is great news, much to Sei's silent displeasure. His sister takes out a 4K camera, preparing to film. She prepares the futon for them. She places a hidden camera on top of a dresser. With the camera set and pointing at the bed, she declares it's ready. Sei menacingly asks what she thinks she's doing. She explains her plan to get footage of their intimate moments, and Sei angrily asks if she really thought that would happen. Sei is furious with his sister's perverted plan. He demands to know what her problem is, and she asks him a question in return. She tells him to think about the situation from Kuchi-sake-onna's point of view. She lays out the sequence of events. He saved her, called her cute, kissed her, and invited her over, creating a perfect romantic scenario. His sister tells him he's used techniques that would put a playboy to shame, and has perfectly set the stage. Sei is left speechless by the realization. Just then, Kuchi-sake-onna comes out of the bathroom, saying the bath felt great. She reveals she borrowed one of Sei's shirts, noting that while it's loose, it's very comfortable. Sei is shocked by his sister's sudden departure. She announces she's going to the convenience store for an hour, and Sei yells for her to wait. Kuchi-sake-onna is thrilled to see a futon has already been laid out for her. Sei feels uneasy, knowing he can't turn her down at this point. The thought of what might happen if he rejects her terrifies him. He reluctantly gets into the futon as she calls his name. She happily suggests they sleep together. Sei is visibly nervous and uncomfortable. He reluctantly climbs into the futon next to her. They lie side by side under the covers. They both fall asleep. Suddenly she wakes up and turns to him with a jolt, saying his name. She asks if he will listen to her story. She wants to tell him about everything that has happened to her up until now. Sei listens intently. She recounts how she came to her senses in the middle of a forest with no one around and no memories. All she had was the awareness that she was the abhorrent Kuchi-sake-onna. She remembers walking alone in the pouring rain. A car pulled over and the people inside asked if she needed a ride. She was hopeful they would help. But when they saw her face, they screamed in terror. Everyone ran from her in horror, and the car sped away, leaving her to spend a lonely night by a tree. She recalls being attacked by Kureha and Hisaruki, thinking that such treatment was what she deserved. But then, she says with a smile, Sei found her. She softly calls his name, admitting she never realized how happy it could feel to be with the one you love at the end of the day. She holds onto his shirt, feeling a deep sense of contentment. She asks if it wouldn't be wonderful if they could just live like this forever. Sei looks at her, his expression unreadable. Content, she falls asleep. Sei thinks that when she hasn't snapped, she's just a normal girl, almost a normal human. He recoils from the thought, realizing she isn't human at all and questioning what he's thinking. He lies awake, wondering what is wrong with him. His internal conflict continues as a strange light appears outside. A sudden, intense flash of light erupts. A small creature darts through an alley, unnoticed by the people nearby. It leaves behind a large, one-eyed, sludge-like monster. She walks down a city street alone, wondering why they've stopped their routine of going home together. She questions if he really thinks it's okay to treat her this way. She thinks about how he must feel, wishing he would consider her perspective. However, she feels that if she had to ask him about it herself, it would be difficult. A strange voice suddenly calls out, noting her unexpected timidity. A bizarre, one-eyed creature appears before a startled Nanami in the alley. She nervously asks what it is, as the creature calls out to her. It tells her not to be shy, assuring her that it is on her side and wants to join up with her. The creature offers to lend her its power. The creature explains that while the monster woman may be deceiving Sei now, it will eliminate her and make him see the truth. With a chuckle, the creature asks if that boy is the one Nanami likes. Nanami vehemently denies it, shouting that she has never thought of him that way and that he is the one who likes her. The creature seems to accept this for now. The creature suggests that a gaze filled with enough killing intent can kill anyone. The creature explains that now that it possesses her, she will be able to exhibit its power to the fullest. It criticizes her last attempt as being too weak. It instructs Nanami that for the curse to grow, her killing intent needs to be even greater. The Jayashi is an ancient, cursed power of the eye that reads hearts and suggests death, waiting dormant inside its host. The creature tells Nanami she's a natural at this and should use her resentful disposition to her advantage. It claims it can more or less imagine what she's thinking, but advises not to sweat the small stuff. The creature states their goal, to kill and consume Kuchi-sake-onna. It goads Nanami, asking if she will let some monster get so close to her boy and urging her to unleash her hate and intent to kill. The creature watches Kuchi-sake-onna, declaring that her expression is a good look and that with this power they should be able to succeed. A powerful aura of killing intent emanates from Nanami towards a smiling Kuchi-sake-onna. The creature's eye focuses intently on its target. Sei asks Nanami what's wrong, but she says it's nothing. Nanami thinks to herself that the girl is on another level and too strong to kill with her current power. The creature becomes furious, demanding to know if she is saying this was all pointless. The creature tells Nanami there wasn't enough power because her killing intent was too weak, urging her to get angry and hate her rival even more. It continues to taunt her, asking if she's okay with losing to that monster who is flirting with Sei. Nanami is visibly distressed by the creature's words. Nanami storms off, telling the perverted eye that she's going home and that her feelings aren't like that. The creature pleads for her to wait. The creature calls out to her, referencing Sei. The creature asks if they can sleep together, and when Nanami questions the timing, it explains it's because they haven't recently. She reluctantly agrees. Nanami lets out a cry as a powerful aura erupts from her. She crouches, overwhelmed by the power, wondering what is happening as she calls Sei an idiot. Enraged, she thinks about how what Sei is doing with the other girl is unforgivable. The creature is ecstatic, exclaiming that with this amazing killing intent, they can definitely kill her. The creature urges Nanami to go forward. Sei opens the door from the inside, asking if someone is there. Nanami cries out in surprise as she stumbles. She falls directly into Sei's arms, her eyes wide with shock. The creature sees the opportunity, declaring that this is it and now is the time. Nanami, blushing, tells Sei his breath is tickling her as the creature furiously asks what happened to her killing intent. Sei looks down at Nanami on the ground and asks if she hasn't gone home yet, while the creature berates her for being so easy. Ignoring them, Sei wonders aloud where the other woman went, while Nanami tells the creature to shut up, thinking the situation is seriously bad. She declares she's going inside, leaving a bewildered Sei questioning her actions. Kuchi-sake-onna appears, wondering what the commotion was. Sei hands her the ingredients and she thanks him. Nanami sweats nervously, wondering why it feels like there's a couple in the room. Kuchi-sake-onna says she'll start making curry, while Sei tells her to call if she needs anything. The creature whispers to Nanami, pointing out that they're clearly living together to flirt and asking if she'll let them get away with it. Nanami furiously declares that of course she won't let them get away with it and vows to destroy her rival. Sei stands awkwardly near Nanami. He admits to himself that this is the first time he's been alone in a room with a girl from his class and it's making him nervous. Nanami shyly admits she feels the same, while the creature despairs over her disappearing killing intent. The creature furiously questions what she is doing and what happened to her earlier bloodthirst. Nanami quietly observes Sei. She asks him if he has been rushing home by himself lately and if that's why he suddenly started going home without her. Sei nervously denies it, claiming he wasn't trying to avoid her and that she doesn't need to worry. The creature calls him a liar, shocking Nanami. It tells her that unlike her, it can see what Sei is thinking. The creature offers to let her see as well, to behold the depths of his heart. The creature's power activates, plunging Nanami into a vision. She sees Sei's thoughts, where he wonders why he would need to worry about Nanami regarding the situation with Kuchi-sake-onna. Nanami's eyes widen in shock at the revelation. Nanami thinks about what she just saw. The vision shows Kuchi-sake-onna as Sei's thoughts reveal he is only worried about her and wonders how important she is to him. Sei's thoughts turn to Nanami, noticing that she is acting weird. Nanami is devastated, thinking if only. The creature's eye reflects Sei's thoughts, wishing Nanami wasn't there. She sees his final resolve. He has decided to be there for Kuchi-sake-onna. The creature's eye reflects a glimmer of understanding. The creature urges the stunned Nanami to kill her rival, asking what is wrong. Nanami wonders where she has heard his words before. A memory surfaces of bullies telling her to hurry up and drop her bag, while the creature insists it has to have been then. In the flashback, bullies taunt Nanami about her attitude while she vows to kill them. She reflects on how she was foul-mouthed, confrontational and bullied in class. A young Sei steps in, telling the bullies to move aside and declaring that he will get her bag down. Sei tries to reach the bag but admits he can't. An angry Nanami demands to know what he means and tells him to be her stool. She recalls this as her first meeting with Sei. After that day, he always showed up to go home with her. With his help, the bullying stopped, and she even managed to make some friends. She recalls asking him if he was trying to help her, noting that she never said a single thing about wanting to go home with him. Sei claims he must have seen the tears of some other bullied child he knew, shocking Nanami. He asks if it isn't great that she was able to make some friends. Nanami quietly disagrees. He explains there was no special reason, he just decided to be there for her. He then says there's no point to it anymore since she isn't alone, telling her to go home by herself from now on. She questions what he means by that. A young Nanami yells for him to wait right there. Nanami realizes what was happening. She understands that Kuchi-sake-onna is in the same situation she was in the past. The creature is shocked, questioning the disappearance of her killing intent. The creature demands to know what she is doing and if she has stopped hating her rival. Nanami explains to herself that what Sei did for her in the past, he's now doing for this girl, and for him, it isn't anything special. Nanami reflects that she doesn't need his help anymore, recalling his earlier words. She thinks about the other girl, Kuchi-sake-onna. The creature asks if she can't see the woman has stolen a march on her, but Nanami points out they aren't going out yet, so they are fighting on equal terms. With newfound confidence, she declares that if that's the case, then she is not going to lose. The creature's eye narrows. The creature shouts at Nanami not to screw with it, refusing to let things end this way. It tells her to wait, declaring its intent to look into Sei's heart one more time to show her what he really thinks of her. The creature's dark energy surges towards Sei. The creature declares that it won't leave Sei alone. Its power flares intensely. Nanami asks the creature what it is doing. Sei senses something is wrong and asks Nanami about it. The creature is suddenly torn away from Nanami, to Sei's surprise. The creature realizes this is a no-go and that it's time to pull out. Sei shouts in alarm, recognizing that a terror came from Nanami. In the kitchen, Kuchi-sake-onna taunts the creature for messing with Sei. Vegetables are tossed into the air as the creature is attacked. The creature screams as it is sliced apart by Kuchi-sake-onna's knife, while Sei and Nanami watch in horror. Kuchi-sake-onna calmly announces that she has finished cutting everything and dinner will be ready in a bit, as the creature's remains fall into the pot. Sei quietly wonders if the creature died, and if it matters either way. Sei asks if it's fine, worried that the creature was just possessing her. She says she has something to do and is going home, much to his confusion. Before she leaves, she mentions that the creature was saying something about consuming the Kuchi-sake-onna. Sei is left stunned, repeating the word consuming. The word alarms Sei, as it sounds exactly like something Hisaruki once said. He tries to stop Nanami, but she says goodbye. He chases after her, wanting more details, but she insists she knows nothing else. The creature's remains begin to stir amongst the discarded food scraps. A dark tendril shoots out towards Kuchi-sake-onna. She turns, her face shifting into a monstrous masked form. Her expression returns to normal as she absorbs the attack. She looks around in confusion, wondering what that was. A woman explains to a man that a monster appears every single night. She laments that no one ever believes her. The man, with a sinister smile, identifies her problem as a terror. The woman is surprised to hear that many others have been coming to him with similar consultations recently. She asks hopefully if he believes her, and he confirms that he does, promising to begin the exorcism at once. The man assures her that she will finally be free of the terror that torments her, much to her delight. The woman is overwhelmed with relief. A dark, spectral energy swirls around the man as he confirms his intent. Kuchi-sake-onna cheerfully asks Sei if he's having fun, but he replies that he is not. Sei thinks about how it has been a long time since it was just the two of them, since her sister is always at home. Kuchi-sake-onna happily says that she wishes things could always be like this. Sei expresses his doubt that things will stay the same. He thinks about the other terrors that exist and the strange presence he sensed from Nanami. Sei has a foreboding feeling that something bad is happening that he is unaware of. A narrator's voice suggests their relationship is about to reach the next level, becoming something more than a couple. Flustered, Kuchi-sake-onna asks if they are getting married, but Sei insists that is not what he meant. She reasons that they are still minors, so they must be satisfied with just being lovers for now, but Sei denies that's what he was saying at all. Sei resigns himself to the situation, thinking it's fine for now. As Sei and Kuchi-sake-onna walk on, a mysterious man emerges from a nearby doorway. The mysterious man approaches Sei, identifying his companion as the Kuchi-sake-onna. He offers to teach Sei his method for exorcising terrors if he comes with him. A concerned Kuchi-sake-onna asks Sei what is wrong. Sei tells her to go on ahead, explaining that something important has come up. Sei runs to catch up with the man. He confronts him, demanding to know who he is and how he knows about the terrors. The man calmly corrects Sei, telling him it is not a matter of who you are. He introduces himself as Haru. As a bus approaches, Sei asks in shock if Haru specializes in exorcising terrors. On the bus, Haru explains that he is investigating recent incidents involving terrors and believes Sei has information about them. Haru suggests it would be best if Sei received an exorcism from him. Sei asks if he's an exorcism salesman, warning him that he's poor, but Haru says it will be free. Sei grows suspicious, thinking Haru is shady and wondering if he has been watching their apartment. Haru looks at Sei sympathetically, acknowledging that things must have been difficult for him. Sei is taken aback by the sudden comment. Haru correctly deduces Sei's predicament that he's never been in love, yet a monster forces him to act like a couple, and refusing her would mean death. Shocked by how much Haru knows, Sei silently admits that the man has a point. Haru confirms that the Kuchi-sake-onna is indeed dangerous, recounting the legends spread across Japan and its current powerful manifestation, before asking Sei if he really wants to be involved. The bus ride ends, and the two sit in silence for a moment. As they get off the bus, Sei mulls over the idea of an exorcism. He considers the possibility that Hana Ryuin might actually have a way to deal with the situation. Standing at the bottom of a long staircase, Sei wonders if he should let this man kill her. They proceed up the stairs toward a distant shrine under a crescent moon. Sei watches as Hana Ryuin enters a building, wondering if it's a shrine. Hana Ryuin emerges wearing a white robe over his clothes and thanks Sei for waiting. Sei realizes from the robe that the man is a priest and is invited to come inside. They walk along a wooden veranda. Sei grows suspicious, finding it strange that no one else is there and wondering if a shrine ever existed in this location. Hana Ryuin states that leaving Sei here is fine, as the terror would eventually appear regardless. Hana Ryuin reveals that the entire mountain is his domain and that the exorcism will take Sei to the dumping grounds. Sei is confused by this statement. Sei demands to know how much further they are going and how exactly this exorcism will be performed. Hana Ryuin calmly replies that he will do it by killing Sei. Sei stares in disbelief. Hana Ryuin opens a door to reveal a room filled with mutilated corpses, including the woman from the beginning of the chapter. Sei's eyes widen in absolute horror. The dying woman from the consultation looks up and weakly whispers the word, terrors. Sei screams that Hana Ryuin is wrong, that these are human beings. Sei frantically looks for Hana Ryuin, whose voice replies that the bodies have been exorcised. Sei screams that what he's exorcising aren't terrors, but people. He demands to know what Hana Ryuin thinks he is doing. Hana Ryuin appears behind Sei with a terrifying grin and announces that he will now exorcise him too. Hana Ryuin presses a knife against Sei's back. He explains that the best method for killing terrors is to kill their teller. Sei reels in shock, realizing Hana Ryuin's true target was him all along, understanding that if the teller dies, the terror dies too. With this understanding, Hana Ryuin turns to Sei with a sinister smile, uttering a single chilling command. Just as Hana Ryuin is about to strike, a massive blade slices through the air, striking him down. On the ground, Sei looks up in disbelief to see Kuchi-sake-onna standing in the distance. She wields a giant, imposing weapon. Kuchi-sake-onna angrily demands to know what Hana Ryuin was doing to Sei. Surprised by her appearance, Sei asks what she's doing there. She reveals that she has been following him from a distance, watching over him whenever he was outside or at school. She concludes that her target is just as dangerous as she was told. Despite the brutal attack, Hana Ryuin's body twists and reforms before their eyes. He casually remarks that he would have died if he weren't a special kind of being known as a kune-kune. Sei stares in horror, realizing their opponent is not human but another terror. The nature of the kune-kune is explained, an urban legend whose movements are like a mirage, nearly impossible to perceive. Frustrated that her attack failed, Kuchi-sake-onna wonders why it didn't work. She becomes enraged at the thought of Sei being harmed while their opponent is fine. She screams that if Sei has to be hurt, then Hana Ryuin should suffer just as much. Kuchi-sake-onna unleashes a furious assault, but Hana Ryuin's body contorts and evades every blow. He taunts her, noting that she can't hit him at all. She frantically searches for him, shouting in frustration. Hana Ryuin reappears, threatening to kill Sei if she doesn't hurry. Hana Ryuin grabs Sei. He vows that she won't get away. He gives chase as Kuchi-sake-onna flees through the woods. Held captive, Sei feels a wave of despair, blaming himself for the entire situation. Hana Ryuin escapes, leaving Kuchi-sake-onna screaming in agony and frustration. Having reached a boundary, Hana Ryuin stops his pursuit. He acknowledges that the Kuchi-sake-onna is on a completely different level of power. He muses that her strength is precisely what makes her a worthy target to be consumed. Sei's eyes snap open. He finds himself in a hospital bed, confused about his surroundings. Looking over, he sees Kuchi-sake-onna smiling down at him, asking if he's finally awake. Kuchi-sake-onna explains that he was badly injured and has been in the hospital for days. Sei remembers being stabbed. He tries to get up, but she insists he rest. He notices it's late and asks why she's there. She admits to sneaking back in after the staff told her to leave. The horrifying memory of the murdered people flashes in Sei's mind. He clenches his fist in anguish, realizing that Hana Ryuin killed them all. He grapples with the fact that he was the intended target and their deaths were a consequence of that. Sei panics, recalling that if the teller dies, so does the terror, and that Kuchi-sake-onna couldn't even land a hit on their enemy. She quietly asks if he's scared. He lashes out, questioning how anyone could be calm, but she tries to reassure him. Sei presses on, asking what she could do if their opponent targeted him again, since her attacks were useless. He insists their situation is dire. In response, Kuchi-sake-onna simply smiles and makes a heartfelt promise to protect him. Her words leave Sei stunned into silence. Sei asks why she would say something like that. Kuchi-sake-onna lists the roles she sees herself fulfilling for him: family, lover, and future wife. Flustered, Sei exclaims that no one has ever said such things to him, as she announces she should be leaving. She tells him it's been a joy living with him and says goodbye. Her farewell leaves him utterly confused. Kuchi-sake-onna leaves the hospital. As she walks down the street, she is unaware that she is being watched. She walks away with a heavy heart, convinced that her decision is for the best. Under the crescent moon, Kuchi-sake-onna arrives at the desolate shrine. She enters the empty hall, calling out to the darkness. She states she knows someone is there and that she has something important to discuss. Facing the empty room where she knows her enemy lurks, Kuchi-sake-onna makes a shocking request. She wants him to kill her. Haru emerges from the shadows, intrigued by her proposition. She explains her reasoning. Since his goal was to kill her by targeting Sei, he should simply kill her now, leaving Sei unharmed. She declares that this is how she will protect Sei. She offers her life in exchange for Sei's safety, promising not to resist and telling Haru to leave Sei alone. A sinister laugh echoes from the darkness. Haru laughs maniacally. He finds it fascinating that a terror would sacrifice itself for a human. He gloats that while he's killed many tellers, this will be his first time killing a terror. She silently says goodbye to Sei. Haru raises his blade to strike. The killing blow is intercepted. Sei stands protectively in front of Kuchi-sake-onna, who looks at him in surprise. Sei furiously demands that Haru explain what he is doing to his Kuchi-sake-onna. Kuchi-sake-onna is shocked to see Sei, asking why he's there. He scolds her, revealing he knew she was up to something from her strange behavior and forced smiles. Touched but frustrated, she calls him an idiot, lamenting that if she had died, he would have been saved. Haru points out that Sei's interference has rendered her sacrifice pointless. Sei holds Kuchi-sake-onna close, reminding her of their promise to always be together. He asks how she could possibly keep that promise if she were dead. Haru suggests they just kill Sei instead, as he has no hope of escape. Sei retorts that their plan is to take him down. He questions why Haru would target him indirectly. He deduces that his enemy must be trying to avoid a direct confrontation. Sei reflects on the legendary power Kuchi-sake-onna possesses. He feels he's only ever caused her trouble, but now sees a chance to do something for her. He resolves to fight, declaring that he's doing this for her, the person who became his family. With a gentle smile, Sei puts his arm around Kuchi-sake-onna and tells her they will go home together. Overcome with emotion, tears of joy stream down her face. As they stand united, Sei is struck by a sudden vision. He sees a group of mysterious figures who declare they will fight alongside them. Kuchi-sake-onna, unable to perceive the vision, asks him what he is seeing. In his vision, a radiant version of a woman reaches out, promising he'll never lose anyone again. Sei recognizes her as Kuchi-sake-onna. In reality, her power surges around her. Her weapon transforms into a more powerful, ornate form. Kuchi-sake-onna unleashes a tremendous wave of dark power, standing between Sei and their foe. Both Sei and Haru can only stare in awe at the incredible display. She now wields a giant, ornate pair of scissors radiating with power. She turns to Sei and tells him she is clearing a path for them to go home. With her power fully awakened and her resolve absolute, she turns her attention to their enemy. She coolly informs the small fry that she will now be chopping him up. Blushing, Kuchi-sake-onna tells Sei that this is the first time he has ever pronounced his love for her so clearly. Sei observes her, thinking to himself that something strange is going on with her. He wonders about her change in demeanor and the sudden appearance of the giant shears. Haru casually remarks that he already told her she can't hit him. He laughs manically, boasting about the power of his kune-kune. Kuchi-sake-onna lunges at Haru with incredible speed. Haru is struck, shocked that her attack connected. He recoils in pain and surprise. With a menacing expression, Kuchi-sake-onna tells him that she can see him. Sei watches the scene unfold, speechless. Kuchi-sake-onna explains her strategy. She saw him turning into tiny beads and aimed for them. Sei is shocked by her explanation. He questions the feasibility of her actions, thinking it should be impossible to see such small particles. Honoruin yells in frustration, telling them not to screw with him. The area is destroyed in a powerful explosion. Sei looks on in disbelief, wondering how she did that so easily. He looks at Kuchi-sake-onna standing amidst the rubble, understanding this to be her true power. Honoruin is left collapsed on the ground. The kune-kune begins to retreat. Honoruin desperately calls out to his fleeing terror. With tears in his eyes, he realizes that it has run away. He collapses in defeat as his last hope escapes. Under the moonlight, Kuchi-sake-onna corners the defeated Honoruin. She taunts him, reminding him of his own rule about tellers and terrors. Sei intervenes, physically stopping Kuchi-sake-onna's attack. He looks at her with determination, telling her he won't allow her to kill him. Kuchi-sake-onna looks back at him, surprised by his intervention. She relents, quietly saying okay. With a wild look in her eyes, Kuchi-sake-onna declares she'll go finish off the other one. Sei watches her leave, calling out her name in worry. Honoruin starts laughing, finding the situation amusing. He understands that his kune-kune predicted that they wouldn't kill him. Honoruin reveals that the kune-kune's body is more like a liquid than a gas. He specifies that if he had to choose between solid, gaseous, or liquid, he would choose water. Kuchi-sake-onna asks what's so special about that. He explains its significance, linking it to a place of birth and his own power. Kuchi-sake-onna stands at the edge of a vast pond. Honoruin explains that the pond will hide his terror. He taunts them, claiming they will never find it and will be forced to live. Honoruin declares his plan to hide and eventually re-merge with the kune-kune. He threatens to return and finish his last task, exorcising the Kuchi-sake-onna. With a powerful thrust, Kuchi-sake-onna drives her weapon into the water. The giant scissors slice through the surface of the pond. Honoruin watches with a smug smile, still confident that his terror is safe. A sharp metallic ringing sound cuts through the silence of the night, drawing Sei's attention. The waters of the pond surge upwards with immense force. The kune-kune is revealed, ripped from its hiding place. She confronts the creature, asking if it really thought it was hiding. With a determined gaze, she tells it, "I see you." The kune-kune trembles in fear. Kuchi-sake-onna prepares to deliver the final blow. The blade slices through the kune-kune, destroying it. Honoruin screams in despair as his terror is vanquished, while Sei runs toward Kuchi-sake. Sei stands by Kuchi-sake-onna, questioning if their enemies truly grasp the situation. He recalls how he only targeted people who knew nothing about terrors, keeping his plan at zero risk. He laments that he was on his way to becoming the strongest, where no one could defy him. And yet, despite all of that, these two managed to defeat him. Sei grabs her shoulders, frantically asking if she's okay and why she did that. She excitedly explains that her power must have appeared because he told her he loved her. Sei is baffled, thinking she seems completely unchanged and questioning if the power of love could really be the cause. Kuchi-sake-onna happily tells Sei that it's all over now and they can be together again. Sei smiles and agrees, suggesting they go home together. A dark aura appears and Kuchi-sake-onna looks down, confused. Her eyes widen in shock. Her hand begins to disintegrate into black particles. A torrent of dark energy bursts from Kuchi-sake-onna as she cries out in pain. Sei and Honoruin are stunned by the horrific sight. Sei calls out her name, concerned. Confused and scared, Kuchi-sake-onna asks herself what she just did. Honoruin explains that she consumed his terror. Sei repeats the word, trying to process the horrifying reality. Sei and Kuchi-sake-onna look on as Honoruin questions the nature of his terror's defeat, wondering aloud if it was truly consumed. With his hair covering his face, the defeated Honoruin murmurs that it's over for his kune-kune. Sei angrily confronts Honoruin, demanding to know what happened to his terror and what just transpired. Frustrated, Sei grimly accepts the fact that the creature was consumed. Sei is shocked as he recognizes the newcomers as the people who are hunting terrors. The man, whose name is Hisaruki, questions what Sei and Kuchi-sake-onna are doing in a place like this. His companion explains that she was also pursuing Honoruin, much to Sei's confusion. Honoruin, still on the ground, tells them they can talk later. The woman declares that they have some business to settle with the trash over there first. The woman gives a chilling order to Hisaruki, "Kill him." Hisaruki eagerly agrees and charges towards the helpless Hana-ryuin. Hana-ryuin lets out a terrified scream as his end seems imminent. Sei shouts desperately for Kuchi-sake-onna to stop the attack. Kuchi-sake-onna steps between the two, blocking Hisaruki's attack. Hisaruki angrily asks why she would stop him. Kuchi-sake-onna asks if she needs any reason beyond Sei telling him to stop. Sei steps forward, telling the two that they should be aware that Hana-ryuin is the monk who has been killing terrors. The woman insists that bastards like him should be killed and tells them to move. Kuchi-sake-onna looks on in surprise at her vehemence. Hisaruki moves to attack again while Hana-ryuin whimpers. Sei stands his ground, telling them that the man is no longer a teller. He explains that with his terror gone, Hana-ryuin is now just a regular human. The woman considers this, realizing that if it's true, there's nothing more he can do. Sei declares with intensity that these situations where people kill or are killed because of the occult are wrong. He looks down at Kuchi-sake-onna and states that he will not accept them. Moved by his words, the woman tells Hisaruki to stand down. Hana-ryuin can't believe his luck, laughing as he realizes he's being let go. Suddenly, the woman delivers a powerful kick to Hana-ryuin's face. She complains to herself about how she ended up getting scolded by someone like Sei. Sei checks on Hana-ryuin, who groans that it hurts. Hana-ryuin looks up at Sei, asking if he's the only one who will protect him and if there will be no more killing. Sei quietly confirms that is exactly the case. Sei clarifies that there should be no problem having him protected from inside a prison and prepares to make a call. Hana-ryuin sits defeated on the ground. The woman asks if Kuchi-sake-onna sustained any injuries and Sei replies that while she had some pain, it's improving. Seeing that things are settled, the woman suggests they get going to talk about the terrors. The woman says they will talk back at her place. Sei is surprised by the invitation. Kuchi-sake-onna warns Sei that they can't go, insisting the two are dangerous. Sei insists that he will go, as he is done being in the dark and they might know about her situation. He acknowledges the uncertainty, knowing they can't be sure what kind of people the two of them are. The woman leads them to a simple apartment door and invites them in. Sei has a casual, unimpressed reaction to the building. Kuchi-sake-onna gets defensive, telling Sei to stop calling it cramped and insisting she won't let him enter. Hisaruki tells Kuchi-sake-onna to come with him, stating that the room is private. The woman peers from the doorway, stating that it's for humans only because she is the only one living there. Sei tries to usher Kuchi-sake-onna inside. Kuchi-sake-onna grabs Sei, crying that he can't go in there. She explains her fear, certain that the woman is inviting him in because she likes him. Sei is baffled by her reasoning. Kuchi-sake-onna explains her worry, reminding Sei that he was stabbed the last time he went with a stranger. She leans against him, vowing to protect him so he won't go anywhere. Sei gently pats her head, telling her to stop worrying and reminding her that they are going home together. Kuchi-sake-onna watches with concern as Sei prepares to enter. He tells her there shouldn't be any problems and closes the door behind him. Sei reasons that if they intended to kill him, they would have done it already. As he opens the door, he is startled by what he sees. The woman, now wearing glasses, tells him to close the door he opened, stating that she hates it when people are sloppy. Sei is flustered, noticing her glasses. He asks if she changed, and she retorts if he can't tell just by looking. She tells him to take a seat somewhere. He looks around and notices the room is full of books, all about the occult. She asks if he's surprised, guessing he was thinking she was the studious type. Sei calls her a Yankee nerd, causing her to yell in outrage. She shouts that she is neither a nerd nor a Yankee, though Sei privately thinks one of those is definitely true. Calming down, she admits that even she thinks she can be a little hot-tempered sometimes. She says her actions back there were her fault. Sei reminds her that she was about to kill the teller until he stopped her, so she shouldn't say she's the bad one. She explains that there was a girl that Hana-ryuin killed recently. She reveals that the girl was her senpai from elementary school and had been very good to her. She expresses her guilt, saying she couldn't save her senpai who had dreamed of protecting the town. She confesses that she was just frustrated with herself, feeling it was her fault. Sei has a moment of realization about her true character. He says that he understands. Sei tells her that she is almost certainly as good a person as he thought. His comment immediately backfires as she yells at him for calling her a good person, and he yells back in frustration. Sei tells her to calm down and just sit over there. Once composed, she recalls that he wanted to know various things and offers to help teach him. A poignant memory shows the woman as a young girl being praised by her senpai for getting a perfect score. The woman tells Sei that even back when they first discussed the matter, there were many things she didn't know. She explains that everything she learned from Hasaraki were things she'd already experienced, making her and Sei similar in that respect. She recalls meeting the Terrors 3 months prior when Hasaraki simply invited her to go crush some monsters with him. And that, she states, is how her days as a teller began. The woman explains that tellers possess supernatural abilities that they use to kill each other. After defeating an opponent, they turn into a black, gaseous body and absorb them. Sei realizes with a grim expression that this must be what consuming means. She adds that while Hisaruki has consumed a few bodies, she herself is different from the false priest and only hunts terrors. She explains that absorbing things is an ingrained survival instinct for terrors, allowing them to grow stronger for the fight. Sei asks why humans would be involved in what seems to be a struggle for existence between monsters. She clarifies that terrors need to possess a human host to use their powers, as they originate from tales created by humans. She explains that terrors generally possess a single person, and once that possession occurs, it cannot be undone except by death. This is why if the teller dies, the terror dies with them, a principle known as the rule of the teller. This conflict where humans and monsters join forces to gain power is what they have come to call Terror Night. She stares at him, stating that it is a conflict he has already entered. Sei dismisses her explanation as absurd. He yells that he never intended to participate in a fight like this and that Kuchi-sake would never ask for such power. She looks at him grimly, asking if he is sure of that. The woman points out that time and again, Kuchi-sake-onna has revealed a dangerous side to her nature. Sei is shocked by her implication. She asks what would happen if, by some chance, Kuchi-sake-onna forgot her true self as she consumed power and her evil form naturally returned. She asks if that would be any different. Sei turns away, telling the woman she is wrong. He recalls a gentler memory of Kuchi-sake-onna, insisting that she is not the person the woman describes. The woman asks if he will continue his relationship with her, and he confirms that he will. He adds that even if people come hunting for them, it won't change his feelings towards her. Sei states with determination that no matter what happens, they will cut their way through it together. The woman looks at him, surprised by his conviction. She smiles wryly, remarking on how hard he's working and calls him Mr. Boyfriend. From outside, Sei furiously denies this, shouting that his relationship with that girl is strictly familial. Sei confronts the woman, demanding to know if she is an enemy or an ally, pointing out that they know almost nothing about her. He notices the uniform for Shiramine's school for Ajusamas and realizes she must be his age. She becomes flustered, demanding to know how he recognized the uniform and accusing him of being a fanatic, claiming it was her older sister's. She assures him that she has no intention of fighting him and is only hunting terrors that go around hurting people. Sei argues that being some sort of ally of justice is too dangerous and that she can't do everything, even teamed up with a monster. She retorts, asking what it has to do with him, and stating that fighting with monsters is the only way to fight monsters. She mutters that she doesn't want to associate with the likes of them either, but trails off. Sei asks her what she means by still. The woman explains that she's seen too much, as occult monsters are running wild in her hometown. Sei scoffs at the word occult, telling her not to mess with him. She declares passionately that she is doing this because she absolutely despises the occult. Sei looks at her in disbelief for a moment. Then he suddenly starts laughing. Sei continues to laugh hysterically. The woman angrily demands to know what he's laughing at. She insists that she doesn't think she said anything funny. She yells at him not to make fun of her. In her anger, she begins pounding on the bookshelf, startling Sei. Hearing the commotion, Kuchi-sake-onna rushes in, shouting for Sei, worried that the other girl was up to something. As she stumbles, the woman accidentally pins Sei against the bookshelf in a classic cabe-down. She apologizes for the accident, and Sei tells her it's alright since none of the falling books hit him. Kuchi-sake-onna looks on in disbelief, wondering why Sei gets to experience that when she hasn't. Kuchi-sake-onna glares menacingly, thinking this is exactly what she was worried about happening between a man and a woman. Sei and the woman sweat under her intense gaze. The woman frantically explains that they are just friends who discovered a mutual interest in training. Sei nervously plays along, asking if she was about to head home. They say their goodbyes as the woman leaves. Before she goes, she hands Sei her contact information. Kuchi-sake-onna reflects that modern terrors are tales spread through the internet, which limits their spread. Sei wonders about the internet's role and what it means for Kuchi-sake-onna. Kuchi-sake-onna confirms that she is indeed the only irregularity. Sei asks what Tarot Night is exactly, and the other woman admits she's been investigating the same thing. She explains the mystery. Terrors first appeared when Tarot Night started a year ago, but what about the tales of terror that had been on the net for half a year before that? She vows that she is going to figure out this goddamn riddle. Sei asks for her name again, and she teases him for having already forgotten. She smiles and introduces herself as Kyugo Kukureha, telling Tauno Sei she'll see him later. As they walk away, Kuchi-sake-onna asks if he's sure there's nothing going on between them, to which Sei insists it was normal because they're friends. Kureha is surprised by his conclusion. Sei smiles to himself, thinking that Kureha is definitely a friend. Kuchi-sake-onna looks uneasy. As they walk away, she mutters that she really doesn't like these people. While on a payphone, Sei expresses surprise to Kureha that one can actually buy books about the occult. Kureha confidently states that the book she suggested will have everything he needs to know. He thanks her for the recommendation, admitting he was unsure which one to get, and is taken aback to learn that she also has such books. She admits she prefers not to look at them, calling them simple research and countermeasure materials. Kureha reacts with excitement, mistakenly thinking Sei has finally awakened to the wonders of the occult, but he quickly clarifies that's not the case. He explains that with limited money and no access to the internet, his research options are few. From her home, Kureha offers to help, suggesting he come to her place where she can provide him with all the information he needs. Sei rejects Kureha's offer, worried about how it might look, while an imaginary Kuchi-sake-onna reacts with jealousy. Kureha frets that Kuchi-sake-onna would misunderstand if she saw them together, but then quickly gets flustered and dismisses the thought. With a serious tone, she warns Sei that he better not be alone right now. Sei confirms that he is not. Kureha is relieved that Sei seems to be understanding the danger, noting that she always keeps her own companion, Hisaruki, nearby. She tells Sei that he is blessed to have a powerful being like Kuchi-sake-onna possessing him. Kureha explains that her presence ensures his safety from any potential attackers. Kureha delivers a final, stark warning: people will hunt him for his extraordinary power, and if he is ever caught alone, he will die. Sei acknowledges her words. He hangs up the phone. He then turns and sees Kuchi-sake-onna nearby, realizing she truly is like a bodyguard. Kuchi-sake-onna peeks out from her hiding spot before cheerfully approaching Sei. He tells her she doesn't need to hide just because their eyes met. He confirms that he could see her the whole time, and she asks if he was supposed to be shopping alone. She gleefully admits she ditched everything because watching Sei in trouble is more fun, a comment he finds less than complimentary. Sei tells Kuchi-sake-onna he's finished and they can go home. She immediately asks who he was talking with. He deflects, claiming it was just an elderly relative. As they head towards the train turnstiles, Kuchi-sake-onna is excited to ride the train. He wonders how she managed to get there, and she playfully reveals she has a transit card. As the train travels through the city, Sei and Kuchi-sake-onna look through the occult book he bought. He remains puzzled about the true nature of Terror Night and what they are fighting. He grimly concludes that the book is full of things he doesn't understand, and from a monster's perspective, their constant battles for power are essentially a form of cannibalism. He thinks back on past events, recalling how Kuchi-sake-onna's power increased when her nata transformed into enormous scissors. This surge of power was only for an instant, suggesting it wasn't the same as consuming another being. He also remembers another time involving a girl in a coat. He turns to Kuchi-sake-onna and realizes with dawning horror that she doesn't seem to remember any of it. Sei asks Kuchi-sake-onna if she is scared, but she replies that she just really wants to do something about their situation. The exchange feels familiar to Sei, like a conversation they've had before. She gently takes his arm, reassuring him that it's okay. Kuchi-sake-onna looks at Sei and promises that wherever he is, she will be with him. He looks back at her, moved by her words. They sit together in the quiet train car as the city passes by outside. Suddenly, the world seems to distort around Sei. He looks around in shock and confusion. Realizing he is now completely alone, he frantically calls out for Kuchi-sake-onna. He looks down the empty car into darkness, his mind racing. Standing alone in the eerily silent train, Sei calls for Kuchi-sake-onna again. He wonders why no one is there, and why the train is in a tunnel that shouldn't even be on their route. Kira has warning echoes in his mind if he's ever caught alone. The train doors slide open with a hiss, and Sei steps out of the car onto a completely deserted platform. Sei finds himself stranded at a solitary station in the middle of a vast, desolate landscape under a dark, foreboding sky. As the train pulls away into the distance, Sei is left behind. A weathered sign reveals the name of this impossible place, Kisaragi Station. Dono Sei finds himself standing alone on a deserted train platform under a dark sky. He wonders what just happened, realizing he should have been on a train going home. His primary concern becomes the whereabouts of Kuchi-sake-onna, who is not with him. Sei stands alone on the platform of Kisaragi Station, facing an eerie, empty landscape. A voice explains that Kisaragi Station is a bewildering place outside of reality, where grassy fields stretch endlessly and communication devices fail. Sei clenches his fist in frustration. He realizes a terror must have forced him into isolation, just like the incident with the false priest. He is startled by the sight of a person lying on the ground behind him. Sei lets out a startled cry. He shouts at the fallen figure, demanding to know what's wrong with them and if they are the terror. The figure lies motionless on the floor of the train car. Sei stands alone in the train car, shaken by the encounter. Sei realizes the person was a victim and fears he will meet the same fate if he sticks around. He wonders what he should do. He feels helpless, believing there's nothing he can do by himself. He laments that Kyogoku and her terror, who have always protected him, aren't there to help. Sei remembers Kyogoku's warning that if a teller is ever caught alone, they will die. He reasons that if this has to do with terrors, then Kisaragi Station's teller must be somewhere close by with their terror. He steels himself with the thought that even alone, he can handle a fight as long as it's against another human. The train lurches into motion, startling Sei. The train speeds through the desolate landscape. He peers out the window, wondering where exactly it's taking them. The train approaches what appears to be a massive, eerie train depot. Sei wonders if it is a depot. He cautiously disembarks into the strange yard between two train cars. Sei once again sees the victim's body lying on the ground. He notices that one particular railcar looks unusually nice. Sei cautiously enters the luxurious car. From inside, a man's voice complains, demanding more pieces and stating a terror's power needs more. Inside the lavish train car, a woman stands before a lounging man. The woman angrily reminds the man that it's his job to kill terrors and gather power, questioning why he hasn't killed the 3 people she instructed him to. The woman asserts her authority, declaring that she is giving him an order and is not his lackey. The man coolly asks if she thinks his place isn't scary. The woman stammers in fear. He declares that he alone decides who comes and goes at Kisaragi Station. The man muses on how her disappearance would be handled, perhaps declared a missing person or even dead. The woman cries out in terror. She realizes the man must be Kisaragi Station's teller and that they are both human. He tells his whimpering companion to be quiet. The man smirks, saying he's found a big one and has already made the call. The man calls out to Sei, knowing he's been watching. Sei flinches, having been discovered. Sei tells himself to calm down, noting that they're human. He resolves that taking this guy down is the only way he'll be able to return to the real world. The man is amused that Sei isn't running. He claims that fights aren't for him and that his stand-in has just arrived. Sei is horrified to see a shadowy figure with a single glowing eye appear behind him. The figure is revealed to be a terrifyingly tall woman in a white dress and a wide-brimmed hat, looming over Sei. She utters a strange sound. Sei stares up in shock and fear. Sei screams that the creature is not human. He yells in desperation, questioning why this is happening to him. As he flees, he realizes that of course there is a terror in a terror's world. He scrambles away, knowing that if the creature catches him, he is dead. Sei refuses to let his story end here. He is filled with the determination to live. He runs for his life, determined to make it home. His escape is cut short as the towering woman grabs him from behind. Caught in the monstrous woman's grasp, Sei is choked and screams in agony. Caught in the creature's grasp, Sei is choked and lifted into the air. He is thrown through the air, landing hard on the ground. Sei lies motionless on the dirt path between 2 abandoned train cars. Sei groans in pain as he slowly comes to. A voice from an open doorway asks if someone is there. From inside the car, the voice asks if he is all right and invites him in. He manages to crawl towards the open door of the train car. His eye widens as he enters the car, taking in the scene before him. A young boy sits on a simple bed inside the otherwise bare train car. The boy observes Sei with wide, curious eyes. He quietly notes that Sei is a human, as Sei lies collapsed on the floor. The boy asks if Sei is okay, commenting that he looks like a zombie. He tells Sei to wait, offering to find a doctor since they are in a facility. The boy wonders to himself who this guy is and what he's doing here. Sei desperately warns him that it's dangerous outside because a monster will attack. He reassures the boy, telling him it will be all right. The boy calmly reassures Sei that they are being protected, so nothing bad will happen. He then stands up from his bed. Sei points out that the boy's feet are moving, questioning how it's possible when he claimed to be bedridden for years. The realization dawns on Sei that the boy must have been confined to this train car for all that time. Sei tells the boy to get back in bed, insisting that he's the one who shouldn't be moving. The boy struggles to open the heavy door. He explains that he wanted to open the door but didn't know how heavy it was. The boy calls Sei an amazing zombie, but Sei insists he is not a zombie. Sei remembers the creature from outside and how it felt like it was sucking the strength out of him. Haru asks if Sei saw the person and then ran. Haru asks Sei what's wrong, shortening his nickname for him. Sei introduces himself as Tauma Sei, and the boy says his name is Haru. Sei asks Haru who he is and what he's doing at Kisaragi Station, wondering if he is a teller too. Haru doesn't recognize the name and explains that he believes this place is a care facility where he's been hospitalized. Sei asks Haru to identify the person he said was protecting him, suggesting it might be one of his parents. Haru quietly states that he doesn't have any parents. Tears well up in Haru's eyes as he says it was all his fault because he got sick. He recounts how his mother left and his father got mad and disappeared. Haru explains that his illness then got worse and his head became cloudy. Haru finishes his story, explaining that is when the person came and brought him here. Sei is shocked by the revelation. He doesn't remember much else, but he is sure it must have been a facility worker. Sei presses him, asking if he's sure, and Haru admits he's never met them because they only come when he's asleep. Sei is struck by a terrible realization. He recalls what Kyogoku said about the pairings between terrors and tellers. Haru explains that even though he's asleep, he can see signs that they were there, so he's fine without parents. He smiles, saying that he has a very kind person looking after him. The legend of Hakashaku-sama is described, a tall, mysterious spirit in a white dress who preys on young boys. It lures them with the familiar voices of friends and family, and once they are entranced, it absorbs their spirit until they are lost. Sei realizes with dawning horror that Haru must be the terror's teller, possessed without his knowledge. Haru apologizes, saying he's suddenly tired and is going to sleep. Sei asks if he's all right. Sei watches him, a look of alarm on his face. Sei's eyes widen in terror. He sees the silhouette of the creature in the doorway, thinking it had disappeared. He finds himself paralyzed with fear, unable to move. The terror looms over him, its presence overwhelming. The terror moves towards Haru's bed. Sei wonders if the creature is protecting Haru, knowing that if its teller dies, it will die too. He questions if that's why this room exists, to care for Haru, and how the boy could have gotten such a wrong idea about the terrifying creature. The creature seems to perceive Sei as a kind person. Sei is shocked by this sudden thought. He panics and yells for it to wait, insisting he won't harm Haru. The creature attacks Sei, throwing him across the room. Sei realizes the creature isn't listening and has no intention of dealing with anyone besides Haru. The faces of the man in sunglasses and the woman with the eye patch flash in his mind as he wonders about them. The creature seems to ask why they are hunting terrors like this, and if Sei is working with them. Enraged, Sei yells that the creature is not thinking about Haru at all. His words cause the creature to stop and turn towards him. The creature is silent for a moment. Sei realizes with a glimmer of hope that he got through to it. Sei admits his hatred for the occult and for terrors. Still, he reflects that he has met many different people and learned that not all monsters are simply for killing. He tells the creature that he doesn't think it is like the others and that it isn't like that either. The creature seems to ask him if he is perhaps something. The creature asks if Sei thinks it is a good person. Sei looks on, sweating and uncertain. He is startled as the creature reaches toward him. It tells him he is mistaken, because it is far too dirty to be considered good. Sei is taken aback, realizing the creature can speak. The tall woman Hakashaku-sama confronts Sei, questioning his actions. Sei silently points out that her actions are contradictory. She claims to be helping Haru, yet she keeps him imprisoned. With Hakashaku-sama behind him, Sei looks down at the sleeping boy and wonders what is going on. Haru finds himself in what he perceives as an amazingly clear dream. Suddenly, Hakashaku-sama stands on a desolate road in front of a parked car. She seems confused, wondering where she is and recalling her name. She feels the essence of her being, terror. A man driving his car looks at her with a puzzled expression. Her mind is consumed with a single thought: she wants power. As she walks, she chants her signature phrase, seeking to gather power. Her desire intensifies as she yearns to consume and become stronger. She peers through a window from the outside, drawn by something within. Inside, a frail child lies alone on a simple futon. The young boy Haru sleeps peacefully. Hakashaku-sama looks down at him, her expression thoughtful. She is perplexed by this new feeling, which is much stronger than her usual urges. In his sleep, Haru cries out for his mother and father. Hakashaku-sama looks at him with concern, asking if he is hurt. She carries him through the rain. She cradles the boy, deciding she must hurry. She notes how weak he is, strengthening her resolve. Standing in the rain, she wonders why she has done all of this for him. She looks at Haru and recognizes that they are both alone. She decides this must be why they are meant to be together. Her thoughts are interrupted by the sudden appearance of a man in sunglasses. The man addresses her directly, calling her a terror and remarking that she seems lost. He correctly identifies her as Hashiaku-sama, seeing that she is possessing the boy. When he asks who she is, she replies that she is a friend. She pleads with him for help, telling him the child is sick and needs a place to be treated. The man expresses surprise at her concern for the boy. He reassures her, saying he has a place where the child can be cured. She looks at the railcar skeptically, asking where they are. The man tells her the railcar is a suitable place for Haru to recover. Hakashaku-sama refuses his offer, stating she wants to take Haru home. He lays the boy down inside the railcar. He then asks Hakashaku-sama for a favor concerning intruders who appear in their world. He asks her to kill all of the intruders for him, certain she can handle even the strong ones. She is stunned into silence, asking what he is talking about. The man silences her, declaring that no monster will talk to him that way. The train car with Haru inside begins to move away. He explains that the train cars of this world are moved by will, making her understand she is trapped. The railcar rapidly moves down the tracks. He threatens Haru's safety, wondering aloud what would happen if the fast-moving train were to derail. He reassures her that he has no desire to kill the boy. He promises that nothing will happen to Haru, provided she follows his orders. The man mockingly asks if she appreciates his supposed kindness. Hakashaku-sama sadly apologizes to Haru, calling herself a fool. She decides it's best if Haru knows nothing of the darkness surrounding them, including her own actions. The man tells her not to worry, reassuring her that Haru will be fine. He insists that as long as she nurses Haru, this place is no different from a hospital. The man signals that it's time for her to work, as he has brought new people in. A panicked couple appears, wondering where they are and how they got there. He forces her to choose who to kill, giving her an ultimatum. Hakashaku-sama appears before the frightened couple. She attacks, her power draining the life from her victim. The man eagerly encourages her to kill the victim completely. He cheers triumphantly as the station consumes the harvested energy. Hakashaku-sama apologizes to her victim, acknowledging that they weren't the bad one. She looks at her stained hands, accepting that she is the one who is bad. Haru, watching from his dream state, wonders why he is seeing such a thing. He perceives the entire event as a sad dream. The scene returns to the present, with Hakashaku-sama, Sei, and the sleeping Haru. Sei realizes that Haru is being held hostage. He asks if he is wrong, asserting that this must be the reason she is listening to those men. Hakashaku-sama confirms that because Haru is in danger, she must obey. Sei can't believe her conclusion, asking why she would think that way. He angrily asks if Haru requested that she murder people for him. Provoked, she grabs him and asks what other choice she has. She chokes Sei, silencing his protests. She reminds Sei of the consequences of opposing the man, stating she won't allow it. Struggling against her grip, Sei shouts that if he handles it, there will be no problem and tells her to leave Haru's rescue to him. Sei curiously asks Kuchi-sake-onna how she is always able to take out her nata. She casually explains that she does it like this. With a shout, she summons her weapon from thin air. She happily encourages Sei, sure that he can do it too, but he expresses his doubt. After being forcefully silenced by Hakashaku-sama, Sei recovers against the wall. Hakashaku-sama remains skeptical, questioning if he can truly do what he claims. He passionately insists that once they escape, he can get her the help she needs and urges her to join him. Hakashaku-sama quietly wonders if Haru can truly be cured. Sei reaffirms his promise with conviction. Her past experiences leave her unable to trust, remembering how she was deceived. He tells her that belief isn't necessary since their goals are the same. Sei clarifies that the issue is no longer between them, but between himself and Haru. While Hakashaku-sama acknowledges their shared goal, Sei remains wary. She suggests that he has a unique ability that could be the key to their success. Suddenly, Sei spots a girl on a distant platform and instinctively calls for her to wait. A girl with an eye patch appears on the platform, holding a can of coffee. Sei tells Hakashaku-sama that he recognizes the girl as an associate of the Yakuza. She muses aloud about the scenery, comparing it to the end of the world, which only confuses Sei. Sei asks Hakashaku-sama if she can do something about the girl, but Hakashaku-sama notes she doesn't seem to be a terror. Sei reasons that the girl must have a way to be there and isn't necessarily trapped. He considers fighting but knows it's impossible with his current strength, so he decides on another plan. Hakashaku-sama tells him she has an idea for him to try. The girl is startled, yelling at Sei and demanding to know what he's doing. She angrily questions his presence, claiming the platform is her personal space. She insists she has no messages, but Sei shouts that she must know something about the man in charge. Sei threatens her, warning that things will get frightening if she angers a Yakuza like him. Sei internally celebrates, realizing that since Hakashaku-sama can imitate voices, he can use her to fool the girl. He feels confident that he can now control the conversation. Internally, Sei panics as he realizes Hakashaku-sama's voice doesn't sound exactly like the Yakuza's. Hakashaku-sama attempts the impersonation, asking about the man, but her tone is slightly off. The girl seems flustered, misinterpreting the question. She erupts in embarrassed anger, asking why he would want to know about her pants. Hakashaku-sama abandons the ruse and questions the girl's ability to leave. The girl reveals a ticket, asking if it's her key to getting out. The ticket's purpose is explained. It allows passage to the real world via a moving railcar. The girl tells him to leave it, but Sei insists she bring it over. Sei reaches down to pick up the ticket from the platform. Somehow, Sei has acquired the girl's underwear instead of the ticket. The girl screams that she doesn't need these and demands the ticket. She begins to think that something is strange about the situation. Her suspicion grows as she points out that he's never asked for her underwear before, questioning if he's the real thing. Sei is shocked, unable to comprehend why she has suddenly become suspicious when they had made no mistakes. The girl furiously accuses Hakashaku-sama of tricking them and bringing Haru into this world. Hakashaku-sama's demeanor changes instantly upon hearing Haru called a messed head brat. Sei covers his face in despair, knowing what's about to happen. Provoked by the insult, Hakashaku-sama violently attacks the girl. Sei can only watch as the girl collapses, muttering that she's done it now. He vents his frustration, saying all their work was for nothing and they're now in deep trouble. Ignoring the unconscious girl, Sei picks up the ticket and tells Hakashaku-sama they need to leave immediately. However, he can't shake the feeling that their escape seems too easy. As they prepare to leave, Kuchi-sake-onna appears and declares to Hakashaku that they are taking Haru. Hakashaku-sama turns, her expression unreadable at this new development. Sei is shocked, questioning the name he just heard. Sei insists that they should grab Haru and get out of there. Hakashaku-sama startles Sei by declaring that she will hide. She tells the two of them to escape alone, assuring them that she is fine. Sei is left speechless by her sudden refusal. Sei walks toward the despondent Hakashaku-sama, asking why she doesn't want to meet with Haru. She explains that Haru has no need for a monster like her. Sei reassures her that it will be fine, and that she has been the one helping Haru all along. Hakashaku-sama admits that she is scared. He adds that even he can see that Haru would understand her reasons. Sei tells her to have more faith in herself, noting that they are even living together at the moment. Hakashaku-sama is taken aback by the word together. She nervously asks if they are going out. Her flustered questioning continues as she asks if they have been kissing too. After Sei admits it happened by accident, she lets out a mortified scream. While Hakashaku-sama claims to be calm, Sei immediately points out that she is lying. Sei tells her that Haru also said he would like to meet her. He concludes that there's no good reason she shouldn't be able to see him. Visibly touched, Hakashaku-sama calls Sei a good human. Hakashaku-sama looks up at Sei with a warm smile. Noticing her expression, Sei asks if she likes that person too. Sei admits that he supposes he doesn't hate them. Suddenly, a train appears and speeds down the track toward them. They immediately run for it. Sei desperately struggles to get onto the moving train. Hakashaku-sama and Haru are already inside as Sei collapses, exhausted. Inside the train car, Sei asks if everyone is ready, hoping the ticket will get them out. He holds up the ticket, which begins to glow. He is surprised by the ticket's reaction. The train is enveloped by a strange light as it speeds away. The train travels through a portal of light, heading towards a city in the distance. From the window, Sei excitedly shouts that he sees the exit. He looks at Haru, who is still asleep, and promises to get help soon while mockingly saying goodbye to Kisaragi Station. Without warning, the train violently derails and crashes. Sei and Hakashaku-sama are stunned by the sudden turn of events. Sei cries out in disbelief as they are thrown from the wreckage. After being thrown from the crash, Sei questions why the train would suddenly explode. Nearby, Haru lies still on the ground. Hakashaku-sama screams Haru's name in horror. A sinister, dark energy begins to swirl out from the wreckage. The dark energy converges on Hakashaku-sama, attacking her. Her eyes begin to crack as she realizes what is happening. A mysterious man appears, calling Hakashaku-sama his little workhorse. He mockingly asks if she thought he wouldn't notice, explaining that the railcar can return power, a much greater ability than simply letting a user absorb it. He states that it bestows power because she is a monster. The man declares that she should return to being more monstrous. Sei watches in horror. Hakashaku-sama writhes and screams in agony as the power surges through her, pinning Sei beneath her. Sei cries out Hakashaku-sama's name, begging her to stop. He screams, asking why she's doing this when they were supposed to escape together. He asks why she would do this. Her transformation complete, Hakashaku-sama looks up with a sinister smile. The eerie bubbles continue to float over the desolate tracks. A massive, ornate blade pierces through the air, shattering the space around it. Hakashaku-sama and Sei look on as the blade emerges from the void. The ornate blade continues to push through the shattered barrier. It then shatters into a multitude of smaller blades. The mysterious man smirks with satisfaction. He states that he has finally found it, the entrance. A sinister crescent smile appears in the darkness. Kuchi-sake-onna, now fully present, calls out for Sei